it's Megan, and today I'm so excited to talk to you guys about reading and books and a challenge I'm going to set for myself this year. I would love if you guys join me on this challenge, because if you are kind of getting back into reading, or if you want to get back into reading, I think this is an amazing time to either keep doing it and keep up that like momentum that you have with reading, or start fresh in the new year and pick up a good book and get on like a really good path of reading this year in 2020. And I can't believe it is 2020. I am like totally freaked out about that. But in 2019, I read 9 books, and you guys told me about the Goodreads like app and website. I think Daylene told me about it like months ago, and then my subby Christine reminded me about it on Instagram. So you can like keep track of what books you've read, and I currently have read 9 books. When I'm filming this, it's 2 days before the new year, and I just started reading a new book. It's the second one in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series. So this is P.S. I Still Love You, and I have every intention to finish reading this before midnight on New Year's Eve. So I am going to try to fly through this. I read the other book in just about 24 hours, so I think I have a good chance at finishing this up. But then I'll have read 10 books in 2019, which even if I read like 5 books in 2019, that is way more than I have read in the past like 5 years, like decade. I don't know the last time I've like really got into reading and read like a lot of books in like a consistent period of time. So I am setting a goal for myself to read 20 books in 2020, and so obviously that makes sense with the year and everything, so I thought that would be kind of like a cute challenge for myself and to invite you guys to join me on that. And I just really want to keep like prioritizing reading and finding new books to read, and something I'm going to try to do within the next like week is sign up at my library, because I buy like all the books that I read, and I really like to like have them and be able to like really like crack it open and just like read and not feel like pressure that I have to return it and stuff like that. But if I want to read a lot this year, I think it is like most cost efficient to try to rent them at the library or borrow them from the library. I don't even know what the terminology is. I haven't been to a library in so long. But then I can always like buy a copy of the book if I really love it and want to like read it again or something. But I'm just proud of myself that I got back into reading this year, because it really has been a long time since I really read for fun. And I just wanted to show you guys some of the books that I read this year and talk about them briefly. But I mostly read like popular like fiction books, so if you guys have any recommendations, let me know what books you've been reading or what's on your list. That's another cool thing about Goodreads, and this isn't sponsored by them by any means, but you can keep track of what you want to read, and then you can like check it off when you read it. So a series that I know you guys are gonna kill me, that I have never read but I think it would be really fun to work on in 2020 is the Harry Potter series. And I read the first book in middle school, and I don't know, I just didn't really get into it, I guess. And we had a great reading program like all throughout my school years, but I feel like especially in middle school, you would read books and then you would take a quiz and you would earn points, and then we had like a raffle or something like that where you could turn in your points for like prizes. So it was really awesome. And if you have kids, or if you like really respond to rewards, like that could be something that you could like incentivize yourself to read, and say like, if I read 5 books, I get to have like 20 bucks or something like that to have fun money. I just really respond well to like checking things off and being like, I read like 10 books or I read 20 books or whatever it is. And I'm just like, I really like love lists and like checking off like to-dos. So that is enough motivation for me, honestly. But I just would love to get your recommendations on books. I just asked you guys on Instagram and I got so many great recommendations. I'll put them on the screen now so you can see what people have said. But one that was mentioned a few times is The Silent Patient, and that is one I've been dying to read. I'm trying to like get through the books that I already bought, because I did buy a lot in 2019, and then I'll like start getting new ones maybe at the library, or it's hard to get like the really popular books at the library, so those I might end up purchasing, you never know. But right now, the copy that I bought of Where the Crawdads Sing, which I read in 4 sittings, I loved it. I am totally obsessed with it. I lent that to one of my coworkers for over winter break, and then another coworker wants to borrow it after her. So it's definitely like a popular book, and I looked it up at my library. It was like 30 people were in the waiting list. So I just bought a copy because, like, I don't know, it's worth it to me to spend like 10 or 15 bucks on a book, because I know I'll get a lot of use out of it and enjoyment from it. And I'm someone that I pretty much always was watching a TV show. Like, I was always binging, I was always going to the movies, and I still love those like forms of entertainment. But I don't know, I just feel like I'm spending my time better reading, and I feel like I'm using my brain in a different way, and it's just really rewarding. I feel like to like get through a book and be like, oh my god, like I loved it and I read it in this amount of time or whatever. And I think the main thing that I noticed is that every time I went on vacation this year, I took a book, or I bought a book at the airport. I bought Big Little Lies at the airport when I was going to Las Vegas with my mom, because I realized I didn't bring a book, and I was like, what am I doing? So I got this, and I love these little, like, I think they're called mass print books or something like that, because when they're small they can like mass produce them a lot faster. So I really like when books are this size. But the first book I read this year was when I went to vacation in Jamaica, and I read Little Fires Everywhere, and I loved this book. This is definitely, I mean, they're all my favorite books because I only read 10 books in the whole year, but this I really would recommend. It's not like my #1 favorite, but I'm excited to see the Hulu series that Reese Witherspoon is like going to be like producing, or I don't know what her role really is in it, but I know she's associated with it. And that was another thing I thought of last night, like, can you join like a book club, like the Reese Witherspoon book club or something, and like get the books that they're recommending? Because Where the Crawdads Sing was a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, and that's like probably how it got so popular, you know? So this was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's very like juicy, and it was a great like beach read, and I flew through that on my vacation. And Big Little Lies is one of my favorite TV shows. I really preferred season 1, but this book, which kind of corresponds with season 1, this is truly an amazing story. Like, you just get so much more out of reading, because you can get so many details about the character and like hear what they're thinking and stuff like that. And this actually had like it wrapped up the story within this book, and I really loved the ending of the book more than I actually enjoyed the like story that's going on in the show. So this is a really great one, definitely a good like vacation read or beach read. A book that took me a long time to read, because I just think like autobiographies take me so long to read compared to fiction. But I read Michelle Obama's autobiography, Becoming, and it was like such a powerful book to read. It really made me so emotional. I cried so many times while reading it, and she's just an amazing, inspiring woman, and she has an amazing life story, and it was just a fabulous book. I'm sure most of you have read it because it was really popular last year as well. So if you haven't yet, I would really, really recommend Becoming. And it might take you longer to read than other books that are fiction, but reading reading like someone's true life story is just incredible, to hear everything that she has gone through in her life. And a lot of it was her life before ever marrying Barack Obama, and then it was like them going through the campaigning process and then them living in the White House, and it was just a really awesome story. I loved it. So I borrowed that from my grandma. I got it for her for Christmas last year, and then she read it really fast, and then I borrowed it from her. So it was like a gift to her, and then I got to benefit from it as well. But that was a really fabulous book. And then I read the Crazy Rich Asians trilogy. So I loved this movie when it came out in 2018, and the books, holy shit, the books are so much better. The movie, I'm like so confused what they'll even do for a sequel, if they're making a sequel, which they kind of tease that they will be doing a sequel. But they like totally changed the story. Like the end of the movie is like very kind of like final in terms of like the two main characters, but then the books are totally different, and it's just a fascinating like look at a different culture. And it is fiction, but you can tell from like the author does all these little like footnotes throughout the book, and you can tell he has like experienced this firsthand or knows people that like do live in like a society like this. And it was just really fascinating, and I liked how he wrapped up the end of the series as well. I think that anytime you're like wrapping up a huge story like this, it must be impossible to decide what to do, but I think he wrapped it up really well. And I recommend, if you want to read this book, just buy the trilogy, because you'll want to read more and more and more. And it was just really an entertaining read, but also really like fascinating to like see a totally different like side of life than I will ever experience. And it's not just like the excess of like crazy rich people, but it's like a totally different culture because it's set in Asia, and it was just a really fabulous trilogy. So I really recommend this, and I know some of you guys have bought it or read it based on my recommendation, and that makes me feel so awesome. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as I did, and I told you that you would enjoy it. And let's see, what else did I read? I borrowed a book from my coworker Erica. She had the book An Anonymous Girl, and that one was pretty good. I didn't like adore it or anything, but it was a nice like kind of mysterious like thriller book, which I didn't know if I would really like that. I mean, I love like suspense like TV shows and movies, so I feel like I want to get more into that kind of book next year and see what I think of it. That's kind of like what A Silent Patient is. It's like more of a suspense thriller, so I'm excited to read that whenever I finish up all these other books. And then, like I said, I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before, which again, the book is so much better than the movie, like so much better. The book is just a lot more realistic in terms of how like the main character Lara Jean and like the love interests in her life, they interact much more realistically in the book than in the movie, in my opinion. And I really did like the movie, like kinda. I enjoyed it to an extent, but I loved the book. I thought it was really cute. To be honest, the first like 30 pages or so of the book, I was kind of like, is this like, what is the point of this story? Like, I just didn't know if it was going to be about like family dynamics or like what it really was going to be about. But then once like the main, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm like really weird about like, I don't look into what stories are about, and I think that's weird because most people like to know like a general synopsis of like what they're going to be reading or watching, but I like to go in knowing as little as possible. It doesn't like ruin the experience to me to know what something's about, but I always like being surprised and not knowing what to expect. So this definitely has like, it picks up the pace once you get to like that main event where like the love letters that she's written really come into play into the story. So really good. And I think I am only 3 chapters into the sequel of it, but so far the sequel is really excellent as well. So can't wait to see what happens with that. And same with Crazy Rich Asians, I bought like the trilogy. So my friend Zuri bought me like this copy of it, and it was cheaper to buy the trilogy than to get the next 2 books. So I have like an extra like copy of this one, but if anyone ever wants to like borrow it, I can just give them like this whole trilogy. I just really like having the ability to be like, here, like read this, and then when you like rent it from the library, you can't really do that because you need to return it in time. So I'm just a person that likes to like give stuff to people. I'm definitely like a gift giver, and it's fun to like have people rent or borrow things from you and have them enjoy it as much as you did, or hopefully enjoy it as much as you did. But so I am going to try to read 20 books in 2020. I hope to surpass that, but I think it's a good goal for me to at least start with like doubling the number of books that I read this year, and 20 is definitely very feasible because a lot of books I read are fiction books and teen fiction, and those books you can read pretty quickly. So like I said, if you have recommendations on books you read this year or books that are on your list, please let me know. And I don't know if Goodreads has like a way to like be friends with someone through their app, but if there is, I will like link my account down below so you guys can check it out. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're going to join me on trying to read 20 books in 2020. I would love to have like reading partners in this, and maybe we can like read the same book at the same time. I don't know. I'm just like really excited about reading these days. So thanks so much for being here and watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!